Thank you so much. Thank you for coming to hear about my addiction today. Before we get started, I would like to have a prayer, if you don't mind. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to gather on this beautiful day. Please bless each one of us with good health and your unfaltering love. We ask that you provide comfort and support to the Collins family as they grieve for their loved ones. We also ask that you continue to keep the community of Centerville surrounded by your love. It is during these times we must lean on you the most. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, this is how it starts. You buy one, it's pretty. You buy two, they're colorful. Buy three, impressive. Buy 4, 5, 10, your husband's mad. Now 41 is a lifestyle. Every flower that you see in this presentation is from my yard. They're the 4 that he started worrying about. Single, let's go back, single hibiscus. They just have one single flower. And you can, I don't know where, is there a...
The top there, yeah.
Right here, it's just one flower. And they're all so beautiful. Here are my favorites, the doubles. They just look like a big, big, giant rose. Look at this. This one is my favorite. I waited 4 years to buy this one. Not because I couldn't buy it, it's because I couldn't get to it. They had it for sale finally down in Deer Park that we go to every year. Hibiscus Country has a sale once a year, usually the end of March, the beginning of April. And we go. First time I bought 2, then 6. This year, I hope my husband doesn't watch, this year I bought 11. But this one is called the Mary Ann Charlton, and it's just gorgeous. The issue with it is that because I bought 11 of them, they're usually small like this when I first buy them. And for those of you that have fruit trees, or you know that the first year they tell you to lob off the top, and if it gets any blooms, to just take them off as badly as that makes you feel. Take them off because the plant needs to get strong, and the roots won't get strong if you have all of these beautiful buds on it. Well, I can't do it. I can't do it, so I'm telling you, whoever wins these, do it, because this one, I bought it in April, and day before yesterday it started to open, and I thought, oh my gosh, I am so blessed because I'll be able to bring this plant and show you my very favorite. Yesterday morning I went out and it was open that much. And I went to check it like every hour because they only stay open for 24 hours and then they fall off. And it's a stupid addiction, I know. But anyway, so it got that big, and about an hour later I went out to check it, and there was a red bird sitting on this plant. And my flower was on the ground. But it's not strong enough the first year when you buy them to have those big, big flowers. They take a lot of energy. They take all the growth, all the strength in that plant to grow that beautiful flower. So either you have devastation like I did yesterday and find it on the ground, or you are stronger than me and take all those buds off for a year. I still can't do it. There are 2 types of hibiscus, tropical and hardy. And these 2 are the different types. You can tell by the leaves, the shape of the leaves, the shininess of the leaves. The tropical is deep green leaves with a high gloss, and you can see that on this one. They do lose some leaves, but remain green most of the year. Once most of the leaves fall off, they do produce new growth. As these fall off, you'll see the little ones will come back in. They only grow in warmer climates where it's mild, or stick them in your greenhouse, or in your bedroom, or on your porch. They do have a long blooming season, and zone 9 is the coldest that they like to be in. Well, they're in 8B in Buffalo, in Flo, Texas, and they're doing okay. The hardy, which aren't much hardier than the tropicals in my opinion, they have heart-shaped, dull-colored leaves. You see this one, it's just as beautiful, but it's not as shiny. But it's still pretty. Most of them, these are also called perennial or winter hibiscus. Most of them die back to the ground during the winter. We were talking about maybe that's what you have, where yours died back, you just chop them down if you plant them in the ground. I don't plant mine in the ground. I have only one because it got too big for a pot. I had to put it in the ground. Thank goodness it came back. The new growth will emerge in the spring once you just crop everything off. It'll come back from the roots. They have a shorter blooming season. Mine, I don't really notice the difference in them blooming. I'm so happy when I see a bud start to open, and I'm like an expectant grandma waiting. Come on, come on, come on, come on. And then it opens, and then the mom and the baby go home and leave grandma just standing there because the next day the baby's gone. But you still love those grandkids anyway. These are some of the unique hibiscus that I have. This one is the Confederate rose. And it looks kind of shabby there, but you see that the newer ones, the pink, they're very light pink. And when they first open, they're almost white. And these last a little bit longer, maybe a day and a half, 2 days.
Okay, I'm sorry to bother.
No.
Confederate rose, is it sold as Confederate rose, or is that a different plant entirely?
It's the name of the hibiscus,
Okay.
a Confederate rose.
Okay, so if you buy something, you buy a hibiscus.
You buy a hibiscus named Confederate rose.
Versus the plant is called Confederate rose.
Right.
Okay.
I bought this one at, I think it's Stanley's in Madisonville. A friend of mine told me, oh, you can't get these anymore. They don't grow them anymore. You have to get seeds. So I went in there looking for some fly spray one year. I said,
I got about 6 of them at home.
I have, that's what
I have one that's about 6 feet tall.
Nice.
A cutting of David's.
I have about 5 more in little bitty pots. These are the easiest ones to propagate. All the rest of them are giving me grief. But I have more information on this one. This one I just bought. Sorry, James. I just bought this one. It's called a lion's tail or a pom-pom. And it's only about this big right now. It doesn't have any flowers yet, so I had to pull this one off the internet. But it has a flower and then a long stem and then another flower. So when it blooms, I'll make sure and send pictures. This is the lion's tail I was telling you about. It's unique, unusual double pom-pom flower hanging from a flower form. Its strong, vigorous plant produces abundant, vibrant, warm weather blooms in bright pastel peach. There's peach and red. I bought the peach. It's recommended again for zones 9 to 10, so I have one in 8B.
Carleen, did I miss it, or did you, how many hibiscus in pot maybe you have?
41. Well, I did lose 10. 41, I have 41. I did lose 10 in that big freeze a couple of years ago.
It's okay, because some people have 17 cats, so 41 hibiscus, okay.
They do eat a lot of food though. In the summertime, I fertilize them, I have to feed them once a week. So that's why I'm losing weight, because I had to give up some of my food money for them. The Confederate rose, it's also called a Dixie rose. It belongs to the mallow family. When they open, they're white or like a pale pink, and they fade to a dark pink. And they're about, I think it usually takes about day and a half, 2 days. How long do yours last, David?
They last 2 or 3 days, yeah. Well, when they go through the changes, I've had them up to 5 days, go from the white to the pink to the dark
To the dark red? They originate from China. They're named as a Confederate rose, believing in the South that it soaked up the blood of the soldiers on the battlefield. And the ladies in Montgomery, Alabama gave these flowers to the Confederate soldiers returning home from war. And that's why they call it that, because they would hand them the flowers and, the sad blood. They die back in the winter, and they do return in spring. I have one, it's maybe about taller than me, so maybe 6 or 8 feet tall. And in the wintertime, instead of cutting it back the first couple of times, I just wrapped it. I had wrapped it in bubble wrap and all kind of stuff. Still go and water it. I'll pick up the bubble wrap, water it. And then that year, when I had the other 41 inside trying to save them, I just said, I can't do everything. So I left it. And I went out there, and of course it was completely dead. But after the frost, all the snow was gone, I chopped it back. And in the spring, little bitty sticks started coming up with flowers, and now it's big again. This also happened to me with an avocado tree. I had an avocado tree that I planted from a seed. I know it's off topic, but I had it for about 3 years, and it continued to get bigger and bigger, and I continued to change pots. And last year, I even brought it in the big freeze, but last year it was so big. Thought, you know what, I think you'll be all right, you're big enough. It's still in a pot, so I left it outside. And it just died. I thought, my gosh, it's completely dead, and I felt badly, but I could not bring myself to throw it out of that pot. And I still watered it, like going to the cemetery. I was still watering it. And yesterday, I have a little sprout about that big. Now, it may be no good because it's coming off the side. I don't care. I believe in it. Hibiscus were discovered by the Europeans in China and introduced back home in 1678. And I thank those Europeans every single day. Now, here's not the fun part. Damage to hibiscus. These thrips drive me insane. They're monsters of the garden. They overwinter in the garden. You think they freeze? Nope. Females insert their eggs into the tissues of flowers, leaves, or stems. They lay up to 80 eggs at a time. 2 or more nymphal stages before adulthood. They can go through 12 to 15 generations of thrips a year. And their life cycle is only 16 days. But my gosh, they aggravate you from day 1 to day 16. Mealybugs. I thought, why are my plants just getting this white mold all over it? And then you shake it and they fly away. Holy moly. Pink, soft-bodied insects covered with a white, waxy, cottony material. They suck the sap from above-ground plant parts, especially the stem tips, the leaf junctures, and new growth. You can see them best, you can find them best just by a visual inspection. They lay their eggs in masses of waxy threads. It may look like white cotton on a plant. You just think, and you grab it, you think, oh my gosh, that's not just maybe a spider web, but that's kind of what it looks like, a thick spider web. Gets all over your hands. That's the best way to find them is visual inspection. They say the easiest way to get rid of them is to just hose them off. I tried. The next easiest is swabbing with rubbing alcohol. Pruning. I can hardly say that word. Pruning the stems off, the leaves off, the branches. Chemical remover. That's the way I do it. I have neem oil. Neem oil, I buy it. Seems like I buy it by the gallon. And it seems to work pretty well. I have powder. I don't like to say this either, but when I first moved up here, I used 7 dust all over everything. I thought, oh my gosh, and I realized I'm poisoning myself and all the birds and all the bees. So no more 7 dust, but they sell a powder at Tractor Supply, Dr. Jack's or Mr. Jack's. I have a picture of it, and that's what I use. Aphids. No good aphids. They're the most destructive plants passed on cultivated plants in temperate regions, and we are just blessed to be in a temperate region. They weaken the plant by sucking the sap, and they act as vectors for other plant viruses. So they're carriers. They get on there and they just put all kind of nasty stuff in there. They disfigure ornamental plants. My beloved ornamental plants. They get everywhere. They deposit honeydew subsequent honeydew, and it kills the growth it starts the growth of sooty mold. Insecticides don't always work. Water jets and soap sprays are most effective with this bug, or ladybugs. And I've seen ladybugs on my plants recently, so I'm hoping. They do take a lot of work to keep them healthy. I check mine every single day. Do like this. Make sure if there's anything on, I'll wipe it off. I take some Kleenex out there and wipe them off. But it takes a lot of time with 41 plants. They're still my favorites. Here is one with the big bees on it. The big bumblebees. Here's one that's just starting to open. Here is my porch, my back porch that I was telling you guys about. Here's I had my husband put some vinyl siding, the vinyl sheets that you have on a greenhouse. He built this porch for me, and in the wintertime, I need a place to overwinter my babies, so he put those vinyl sheets up. At first, he just made this little room for me. He thought, oh, I can't see it, but up here it says, "Happy birthday, dear, 2020." And he thought, this little bitty room, it's like it's 12 foot wide, so it's maybe 6 by 12. That'll be plenty of room for your flowers. No, I need all of this. So he closed it in for me. And then here is my greenhouse that starting to get a little crowded, because I have, of course, back here I have to put my pineapples in there. And here's my plumeria. Now they're too big. It's too big to go in there. It has to come in the house. And here's my backyard with all my pots lined up. And I have 2 sections just like that. And they just now, that was again 2 years ago, now all the pots touch. And I have a second row in front of them. Kind of embarrassing, but
It's great. It's fabulous.
And now tropical plants. And I don't know very much at all about tropical plants, but someone asked me to please talk about tropical plants, specifically my pineapples. So there's my pineapple. And all I did with the pineapple was I bought a pineapple from the store. And you know what, this looks alive. I might try to grow it. So I cleaned off the bottom, a little Tupperware dish, and I just stuck it in there with some water. And every couple of days I'd change the water because it started to smell nasty. And in about a week or 2 maybe, I picked it up and it had roots on it. Well, I'll plant this. So far I'm I'm up to 3 generations of pineapples from the very first one. It takes a long time, but I grow hibiscus. I can wait. I think it takes about at least a year to 12 to 18 months to get the first pineapple to come up. And then it takes 6 months for it to grow. At least this is my experience, it took 6 months for it to fully ripen. Chop it off, and then the plant will just die. It does have, and I think I have some pictures on the next slides, it does have, we'll go back. Here, see the little, if you can see those little bitty pieces right there? They're not called suckers, but you can twist them off and they become plants. They become pineapple plants. So I have some of those.
When you rooted it, did you put the whole plant in, or did you just cut the bottom?
I just cut the top of it off, like maybe just to right here on the full size. Okay, I'll show you on the other one what I did. And cut the top of it off, maybe about that much. I left on the bottom, like a little bit of the meat, pineapple meat on it, and just stuck it in the water, and it grew. And here's my plumeria, and I don't know if it's I don't know very much about it, but it's a friend of mine lives down in Pearland. I went to visit his hibiscus yard. Mine put this to shame. But I went to visit him. He said, I went to Hawaii, and I wasn't supposed to bring this back, but years and years ago, and he had these huge plumerias growing. He said, last winter, a piece of mine broke off, and I just have it laying here. Do you want it? Well, it just looks like a stick. He said, yeah, all you have to do is take it home, put a little root stimulant in it, stick it in some potting soil, and it'll grow. Right. Well, this one is now, it doesn't fit in my greenhouse anymore, so God bless you, it's about 9 or 10 foot tall. And it doesn't only have yellow flowers. Last year it had yellow on one side and pink on the other.
Carleen, I have 5 pumpkins, and we had to travel further. We stayed in the RV park and had them out there, and I didn't know what it was, so I asked him, and he said, so I have one here, if you wanted or whatever. So he gave it to me, told me about the tall, it was fine. And then he had, like you said, a bunch of the sticks.
Yes.
Gave me some of the sticks, and I didn't use root stimulator. I just stuck it in potting soil, in a pot. Yeah, and I do, but you have to put them in. The leaves drop and all that,
Right.
go back to nothing but the stick.
Right.
And then you're going to think it's dead, and most
Exactly.
people throw it away. Right.
And I put it, the first year, it grew, but I thought I better bring it inside. So I put it in the greenhouse, and it looked dead. It was just the stick. And it had grown 2 or 3 sticks, but it still was just a stick in a pot.
Of course, I named mine. Maybe that's why they decided.
See, I wasn't going to go there about my names. But it's grown, and you see here it is. There's a yellow, and there's the pink. And it's in the same, it's from that one stick. I thought maybe I planted 2. No, I only planted 1. And they are beautiful. They are absolutely, and they smell so good. Usually when the flowers start falling off, I'm always out in the yard, pick them up, put them in behind my ears. Here it is in my greenhouse again. See, it's almost all the way up to the top. But it was just sticks. I thought it's dead.
You can cut it. You can cut it.
When I moved it, a piece broke off. And here is that piece right here. I have another one right here. You're doing well. Oh, go back. And there's my pineapple. Here it is when it first starts coming out. And every day I look, I have, well, you can see here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I have 6 out in the yard. And every day when I'm checking my hibiscus, I look in there to see if I see any babies coming out. Nothing yet. The only bugs that I've seen that like these pineapple plants are spiders. I just give them a little spray. Usually what I do is just spray them with a water bottle, and then just take my little stick and knock the webs off, because I don't know if they're good spiders or bad spiders, and unless they have a red dot on them, they're not bugging me. They love fish emulsion. The stinkiest stuff that and by the way, my friend that asked me to do pineapples, Kathy. And I said, okay, I don't know how to grow them. She said, you have to water them from the top, but you have to give them fish emulsion. Okay. And I bought a little plastic jar of it, opened it up. Oh my gosh. But you only have to use a little tiny bit, and it'll stink for days. But it works well. It works well. That's right. Maybe only the spiders like it.
It does draw flies. So when you use that fertilizer,
I have flies out there anyway. But so they start out, this is what I look for every day, this little tiny brown spot. And then it's a little bigger. This is the one I wanted to show you. Right here is where I cut it. After it turns all the way yellow, the pineapple is ready to take off. I just twist it off. And then I cut it right here at the top, like you would if you're just gonna eat the pineapple. Cut the top off, put the other, I love pineapple, but I don't buy it for the fruit, I buy it for the top of the plant. I'm just crazy, I guess. But anyway, I just cut it off right there, clean it up a little bit, I put it in water only about that much. And they grow. And that's all I have. This is again my favorite though. This one is called Marianne Charlton. It's so beautiful. She's in my refrigerator. I couldn't bear to throw her away. And this one, they all have names. They all come with names, but only a few of them keep their little tags on the bottom. This one is called Daddy's Angel, and it's just gorgeous.
That one on the bottom, is that a hardy?
No,
It's not. Okay.
Probably.
Sometimes they're purple with kind of a pink center. I have a question. Okay, I have one that I've had for, I don't know, 10 years. And it's one of the ones that's got the twisted trunk that looks like a tree. Do they make those do that?
I believe so.
If they do, they don't just like.
No.
Braided.
And I am a junior master gardener specialist.
Because
Oakwood did win the onion contest.
because you keep yours in the pot. Because you keep yours in the pot, how big of a pot do you usually use? And then what type of fertilizer do you use on your hibiscus?
I use,
say, didn't know you were here, girl. You are.
I have a copy of the box of fertilizer. They start out, innocently enough, in this little tiny pot. And after about 5 times of getting, I have to transplant them at least once a year, maybe once every 2 years. The biggest one I have, well, it's this big. And it needs to be transplanted. I might have to buy a cattle trough to put them in, but how am I going to move it? It has to be, I don't know.
Wheels on it.
We have to use a dolly.
Right, but
I bring mine.
I have 41. I don't have room for 41 cattle troughs in my greenhouse. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to have to add on to my house and put a bigger room, I guess.
What kind of fertilizer you use? This is electric.
I bought it off of Amazon. I'm in another group, Space City down there, Space City Hibiscus.
Did you go to their sales Sunday?
I did not. I was forbidden. The name of the fertilizer that I use, it's supposed to be for citrus trees, but they said they recommended to use it on your hibiscus. It's called Jack's Classic 20-10-20, and I get it off of Amazon.
Can you spell it, please?
Jack's, J-A-C-K-S,
What?
Classic,
And what's the number?
20-10-20. And it calls for, it comes with a little scoop, and it calls for 5 little scoops into a 5-gallon bucket. And I did it once a week to begin with, once I first took them out of my greenhouse to give them a little boost. Now I do it like every other week. But they're blooming, you can see.
What kind of soil do you use for your plumeria? We just ordered 3 sticks.
I just use regular old potting soil. I get my potting soil from Bobo's, the B7, I think. BM7, BM6, BM7. It works fine. I'm in Flow, downtown Flow, and it's just sand. You're not laughing at downtown Flow. When I moved there 10 years ago, the population was 20. Now it's 22. With my husband. It hasn't gone. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to let you know, I planted one I bought from Bo's last year called Midnight Marble. And it has purple leaves on it and a big pinkish blossom. It's bigger than my hand when it blooms.
Oh my God.
It
What's the
bloomed
name of
last
it?
year. This year it's twice as big. It hasn't bloomed yet, but it's this
You
tall.
planted it in the ground?
It's in the ground in the corner of my backyard.
You live in
And
Flow?
It died off during the winter and then came back because it just had sticks and then came back again and it's twice as big as it was
That
last
is
year.
wonderful.
And then I planted another one that I got from called Lord Baltimore. And the reason I bought it is because my mother years ago bought one from Spring Nursery, I think it was called something like that, and she lived in Wyoming where it gets below 0. And she had it growing out in her front yard for years with big, beautiful red blossoms bigger than my hand.
That is amazing. Maybe I'm just a baby. I'm afraid, maybe. I don't know.
If you tried one, you'd have 100.
Exactly. Maybe I shouldn't try. And I'm afraid that
Bubba's husband says
$5.95 for the perennial.
$5.95
I know.
perennial plumeria or
hibiscus.
hibiscus, that's where I got these from yesterday.
Okay.
Now, whoever wins these, if you're gonna take the buds off, wait till I leave, please. I don't want to cry. One is, but then the one that Mary Ann Charlton, the one that I waited for so long, but it bloomed yesterday and fell off. This one is called First to Arrive. Maybe I'll take this one home. It's red, and this one is peach color, and it is Gossip Queen.
Have you ever tried propagating one of your seeds?
I have tried and tried and tried. I don't do well.
I've tried too. My sister from Wyoming, she must be your partner green thumb because she'll get cuttings off that Lord Baltimore, bring them inside. She can get a root inside, and she even got a blossom off one inside. Now I bring it home to my house and I kill it. I can't take a cutting.
I'm able. My Confederate rose, that one just does very, very well. I don't know. Dave, have you had any luck propagating any other hibiscus?
I don't have, just so recently I didn't have the other hibiscus. So,
Well, if you do, I need to come over and learn.
yes.
I try. I do it with what I do with the rest of them. Stick them in water.
I think that would work well doing air layering.
Doing what?
I think it would work real well doing air layering.
Is that what Maria showed us a couple of years ago?
But I don't like the regular hibiscus. I've had a regular that are like close to the ground, maybe because they're like a big bush. It is rooted from like all those little nodes. And I, cut that off and planted it in some nice stuff. I don't think
I
that'd
want
be
my
very
touch
hard.
more.
I don't think that'd be very hard enough to pop.
I don't know. I'm not having very much luck. So I just buy more and more and more and more and more. Anyway, that's all I have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.